you end up on high on a mountain, it's actually better to do your business on a rock and then use another rock to spread it over a wide area. We call it smearing. So we're offering a 15-day adventure trad climbing course in Morocco, in Tafrut. 10-day intro and multi-pitch climbing course in Spain. A glacier guiding course in Iceland. And then we're also running expeditions in Iceland, Patagonia, Peru now, and a lot of stuff in Scotland actually that's been really taking off too. We're going to go to Glencoe, and the idea is to try and summit the Three Sisters, which lie on the western side of Glencoe.
Right, yeah.
Including like the mighty Bidam Nam Biam.
How high is that?
I'm not exactly sure without the map. I'll just see how they're getting on, and if it's too much, then we'll do some more valley stuff higher up, and then head on down. Yeah. Yeah. Usually they can have. They'll know if it's within their abilities or not.
Yeah, yeah.
And the key is just to pace everybody so the group stays together.
Okay.
Lots of waterproofs, warm layers. Hats. So I've got my little 30-meter thin rope for technical terrain, and my super puffy jacket. Yeah, like the last group we had, I gave them 2 sleeping bags each to keep them warm, so I get a good review.
No.
Your walking poles are always good. And this is my little trowel for if anybody needs a number 2.
Is that a special poo trowel?
Poo trowel. That's just soil on it, by the way. Well, I like to burn the toilet paper, and if you can't burn it, I'd put it in a bag and take it home with you. Don't bury it, don't leave it. They are measuring one glacier that I work on, and they're measuring surface meltdown. And that is happening exponentially, so every year they're getting a big increase in surface lost. When we're trying to access the glaciers, the more that they retreat, the more difficult it is to get in. It leaves more unstable rock on the sides, and at the front it becomes more crevassed, and there's lakes that we have to navigate around.
Right.
So yeah, every year we've found it to be more of a challenge to access certain glaciers. You got massive amounts of tourism flying into the country,
yeah,
which is obviously a big CO2 emitter. And then you've got how we're actually directly affecting the glacier. So any work that we do on the ice, we chop steps sometimes, move things around a bit, but that will actually not change things on a large scale very much at all.
Yeah.
Like any step that I cut within a couple of days, it will have melted out anyway.
Right, okay.
So I'm quite happy about that.
Yeah, yeah.
I do feel like in some ways we're helpful, because when people go on a glacier and they see the changes that are happening, that perhaps it might make them start to think a bit more about their effects. I point out places where the glacier's been in the past.
Yeah.
So you're kind of giving them a lot of evidence that they can't really argue against. And then just open a discussion on climate change and see where it goes. A lot of people that are deniers tend to have a couple of little trumps up their sleeve. Yeah, so I've tried to kind of research good answers for those trumps.
What kind of trumps do they have?
So one that I hear is that satellite imagery shows that Antarctica is actually growing, but actually that's false. It's the fresh water that's coming off and then refreezing on the sea, and so it's a thin layer of ice, so it looks like it's a large part of the glacier, but actually it's just meters thick ice that's sitting on the sea. So you've got the challenge, you've also got like technicality, and then sort of actual risk, and then perceived risk, and trying to sort of fit all that into like a bundle that will fit quite a few people of different abilities is tough. So like a perceived risk might be, for example, going ice climbing, where we put you into tie you into a rope into an anchor, so the actual risk is really low, but because people are high and out of their comfort zones, they'll perceive that as being a high risk activity. But we get 0 injuries per year. Sven was cool. So we went on a winter trip to the Cairngorms, and the first day was a long day, about 19 kilometers, and the snow was falling, very cold. And it got to a point where it was starting to get dark, and we were still a bit from our campsite, so we kept going into the snow, and Sven ended up stepping in the wrong place and went up to his waist in water and was not happy. He was having a good old scream. I actually thought he'd hurt his leg or something, but he was just a bit shocked and a bit out of his comfort zone. But we managed to sort him out, got to the campsite, and the next morning I got called to Sven's tent, and he was like, "Dan, you're going to have to take me out of here. I'm not sure if I can handle this." And I was like, "Sven, get up, we'll make you some coffee, have some breakfast, and then we'll make a plan." And anyway, 5 days later, Sven, at the end of the trip, came up and thanked me for like a life-changing adventure that he'd felt like he'd really, achieved a lot and really pushed himself. So from day 1 to day 5, there was just a big change in Sven. Instagram, for example, is just flooded with, people holding cups of coffee next to, this beautiful backdrop and stuff like that. So I think, people can go out there and, have their own experience, and sometimes that can be more valuable, in my opinion, than others. But I think as long as people are going out and enjoying themselves, then there's no right or wrong, really.
Okay, yeah.
It's got one leg that goes backwards. It's quite good.
Yummy.